we take a deeper look at the US perspective on the war unfolding here, specifically the Jewish community. And we now welcome Marc Beckman, the CEO of DMA United, a professor at NYU Stern School of Business and host of the podcast Some Future Day. He joins us right now from New York. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you joining us today.
Good afternoon. It's great to meet you. How are you?
Well, we have much to discuss because this is certainly a precarious situation on the ground here. And I'm curious, Marc, about the perspective from the United States. We keep on hearing about global anti-Semitism and the impact of the war here on Jews in the United States, on Jews in the diaspora. Talk to us about, from your perspective, how things have changed since the 7th of October, your insights.
Well, Benita, thanks for having me today. It's really a pleasure. The truth of the matter is that anti-Semitism, particularly here in New York City, is in our face all the time. It's nonstop, and it extends way beyond just people marching in the street for pro-Hamas and pro-Palestine. It's in our faces. You see it with graffiti all over the street, on buildings, in institutions, in corporations, in the media, and beyond. So it's complicated. There's a ton of hypocrisy, as you know. I think to a certain extent, the United States government is trying to help out, but in my opinion, it's falling short. It's not enough.
So talk to us then about the knowledge around what is happening in terms of the war, or perhaps the lack of knowledge. One of the staggering issues around what happened on the 7th of October is that it was filmed by the Hamas terrorists themselves, and yet questions are being asked as to what exactly happened. Now, I understand you are an expert in the field of technology. Give us a sense of what it means, the kind of footage that is being shared, and if it is being disseminated the way it is, if these videos did go viral the way they did, why is there so much uncertainty in certain parts as to what exactly unfolded on the 7th of October?
Benita, I would say that the uncertainty is actually more prevalent than the certainty. We are having a lot of difficulty in getting the truth and moral clarity out here in the United States, and particularly in markets like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, the bigger cities. I think a lot of that has to do with this narrative that the mainstream media has put out. It just doesn't support Jews, and it doesn't support the state of Israel, frankly. So what I've been trying to do on my side is using my platform, my show, Some Future Day, to bring in people, leaders, Jewish leaders like Danny Ayalon and Danny Yatom, to help clear up what the truth is and what's actually happening in Israel and what happened on October 7th.
And specifically, when one looks at student campuses, colleges in the United States, not all of them, obviously, but certainly some disturbing images coming out of some of those campuses in recent months. Talk to us about the sentiment at those various colleges and what can be done. You say you are talking to various high-profile leaders. What can be done to explain exactly what is happening on the ground and to show people the actual facts?
Well, Benita, without a doubt, the anti-Semitism on college campuses remains very, very rampant. You can point a finger directly at Columbia University, at Harvard University. But I have to tell you a warming story from my class last night at NYU Stern. One of my students, who happens to be Israeli, shared photos with me earlier in the day. She went into Washington Square Park, which is situated directly across from NYU's campus, and with a table and a sign, she held up a sign that said, "I am Israeli, speak with me." And her goal was to talk to people and allow for them to communicate and understand each other's differences, their points of view, and to try to express upon people that don't understand who Jews are and what we stand for, how, in fact, wrong they are and what the truth is. So it's been, that was like a heartwarming story for me to see and to experience, and very, very brave student for her to go out and do that, for sure.
Certainly is important for people to take a stand, for people to be proud of who they are. Do you feel safe as a member of the Jewish community in New York?
I feel safe, but I don't feel as safe as I have historically. My family has two young children, and in fact, right near their school, there was a swastika that was brought to our attention, and it's, a top private school in New York City, and, it's certainly problematic. So it's a concern of mine. You see these massive amounts of people gathering to support Hamas, these pro-Palestinian movements, and they happen in spaces like Union Square. They go up, I'm sure you've heard about it, they'll go up to hospitals like Sloan Kettering and cheer from the outside. So it's certainly very intimidating, and who knows what these people are really thinking and what they're capable of. It's a concern.
And do you have faith in the authorities there that they are able to respond adequately in a case like the one you're just describing?
I think there's a big difference between speaking and taking action. In the case of local authorities, like, for example, my senator, Chuck Schumer, who happens to be a Jewish politician that lives, the Senate Majority Leader who lives here in New York City, he gave a great speech from the Senate floor shortly after October 7th. But since then, what has he really done? And what does he do? What action has he taken to support the Jewish community in New York City? I do think it falls short, unfortunately. I'd like to see our political leaders do a lot more to support Jews, both domestically here in the United States, as well as in Israel. It's phenomenal. It's almost mind-blowing that we are debating over supporting Israel with arms and financial packages. This should just push right through as far as I'm concerned. Israel is our most important ally in the Middle East, if not in the world, and this shouldn't be a political football.
And very briefly, I understand that you are involved with high-profile personalities, celebrities, the fashion world. Very briefly, are you disappointed with the response or lack of response from the so-called celebrity world in the United States to this war?
For sure. It's a funny time that we're living in, Benita, where the minority Jewish population doesn't fit into the narrative of these types of individuals. And it's unfortunate. I think that high-profile celebrities, people from the fashion community and beyond, could certainly be doing a lot more. But that being said, there are people that have stood up that are high profile, people like Donna Karan and, some high profile celebrities. I think that Jerry Seinfeld, shortly after October 7th, went to Israel and visited and spent time there, that are really stepping up and doing what they can for Jewish people and for Israel.
Well, we appreciate your perspective and we thank you for speaking to us so much. Marc Beckman, live from New York. Thank you very much for being with us on I-24 News. Be well.
Thank you, Benita. You too.